the Retro Network Podcast.
Kind of like Home Alone mixed with The Hangover.
Pause, timeout. All right, I'm doing the Zach Morris thing.
Yes.
The flagship show for the Retro Network Podcast channel.
We've got some fun stuff in this episode.
Man, that's like listening to classic Guns N' Roses.
Even G.I. Joe fans are like, WTF.
Get ready for the latest pop culture news.
We've got plenty of recurrent events headlines to get to.
Man, can you imagine getting a service that streamed all these old Nickelodeon shows?
Interviews.
Let me just start out by asking you, what was your Batman experience when it first came out?
Yeah, summer of '89, I was very excited. I was a comic book reader.
And topical discussions on all that stuff we grew up with and just can't leave in the past.
There's just so many great memories that I have as a kid, just begging mom to go to the department store.
We were the target audience for Sears catalogs. I remember getting them and mom sitting down at the kitchen table and getting on the telephone and making her orders.
How have you not watched The Matrix?
When I went to the movies, I was trying to go watch a sensitive movie, the ones where you could put your arm around your date.
And now, here are your hosts for the Retro Network Podcast, Jason.
I like to have pictures with my words.
And Mickey.
I ain't farting on no snare drum.
Ooh, new intro. How do you like that, man, with all the little sound clips?
I thought it was pretty cool, and I let my oldest listen to it, I guess the night you sent it to me. And she laughed. She said, that part about farting on the snare drum's funny.
Well, if she thinks it's funny, then I think everybody else that actually gets that will think it's great as well. Yeah, I had fun with that this week, just coming up with something new. And like I texted you, man, you're a treasure trove of sound clips. And all of that was just from one episode. So I'm going to have to do like a special, like one-off podcast with just Mickey clips.
Well, I'd like to say I try my best to be entertaining, but I don't. It just happens. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, it works, man. It works.
It's like what I'm about to say. I don't want to be accused of false advertising, but that line about I ain't farting on no snare drum is kind of false because I actually have once before. So you can't. But we'll go with it for now.
Next time, just record that sound for me, okay?
All right. It's kind of like a rim shot, but it's a little wetter.
Okay. I think I got that image in my head now that I might need to get rid of later. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Jason alongside Mickey, and we've got another fun episode of the Retro Network podcast for you. And Mickey has gotten me hooked this past week, especially on this new channel, Tubi, and all of the retro content that's on there. The little girl now we're watching G1 Transformers episodes back to back to back, and I'm just loving the channel, man.
Yeah, and I don't want to go into too many details right here because we got a separate standalone podcast coming up soon with streaming channels. But Tubi is one that I guess it's been out a while, but I came across it. You see these free streaming apps, you're like, oh, yeah. Well, that one I finally sat down a few weeks ago and just dove into it, see what all they had, and came back shocked with how much greatness they had from our childhood. So, and G1 Transformers is one of those things, and there's G.I. Joe, He-Man, and a lot of other 80s cartoons on there.
Absolutely. I was just looking through last night, Voltron, the show Cops, the C.O.P. The Central Organized Police Specialists, I think.
Yeah.
All 65 episodes of that show. Yeah, there's some surprising things on there, too.
One I just found last night. Do you remember the old show from the mid-'80s, Starcade? The Saturday.
Yes,
game?
I did see that on there. Yeah, like 3 seasons of it or whatever. Yeah, that's great, man. And other weird stuff, too, like old Geraldo shows. And, yeah, I mean, there's just lots of good. The A-Team is on there. I haven't... at least none of the apps that I have had the A-Team for a while, not since it was removed from like Netflix. So to have those back is great too.
Well, a few weeks ago when we were talking about the DC Universe crossover coming up on television, you mentioned Incredible Hulk. That's on Tubi as well, the Bill Bixby series. So.
Yeah, so cheap plug for Tubi. Man, we're just all in on that. And for free, I can watch a couple ads, during a 30-minute episode. And not pay for a channel, I don't mind that.
You know what I like about the way they do their ads? they tell you right up front. I mean, it'll go to a commercial at the beginning of the show, and it'll say like 1 ad of 3. And it's got this little clock up in the corner. It's counting down. So you know, okay, well, it's going to be 90 seconds. I can go grab a drink, and then I'll be ready to start.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
And then in the middle of this show, too, when they get ready to play the ad, they've got like a 10-second clock there, too. Mm-hmm. So you got an ad coming in 10 seconds. You're like, okay, now I can get up and go pee and whatever.
Well, since I got you hooked on that, I've got something else to hook you on.
Oh, okay.
Now, I know you're like me. You use a Roku as a streaming device.
Right.
Well, there is a channel on Roku called Flashback 80s. Have you seen this?
No.
It is nothing but nonstop music videos from the 80s.
No.
It's like watching MTV without commercials from back then.
Flashback 80s.
That's the name of it. Flashback 80s. It's the 80'S. It's not spelled out, but Flashback 80s. The wife was watching it yesterday. She was doing some work around the house, and I was working outside and kept popping in, and I had to ask her to turn it off because every time I would pop in to get a drink or something, it would be like Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle, and I'd sit down for 4 minutes. I'd come back an hour later, and it was Van Halen Right Now. I'm like, you got to turn this off. You just got to turn it off. I can't focus.
See, I saw a story this week that that company Vivo that owns a lot of the, I guess, rights to the music videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get in on smart TVs now to have like their own little channel or something, just so it's like it's ready to go. You can watch music videos. I was like, okay, so you got to buy a smart TV. They don't have like their own app or something, but this sounds like what I'm really looking for in finding music videos.
Don't hold me to it because I may have glanced wrong, but I believe they also have a Flashback 90s that's the same way. I know I seen they had Flashback Country, which is just country music videos nonstop, like CMT started out as years ago for people into that. So, yeah, it's free. Flashback 80s, music videos from the 80s nonstop.
Oh, man. As soon as we're off here, man, I'm adding the channel.
Well, you know, I need to look into, maybe they have like a widget or something for websites. We could put a block on the retronetwork.com that's just showing continuous 80s music. Hey, and speaking of the retronetwork.com, people need to head over there. We just finished a new site redesign this week. A little easier to find some stuff. I think it's a slicker layout. You can get to what you're looking for quicker, and it's a little easier to find. So maybe people will enjoy that.
Yeah, and what I like about it too is there's a lot of different image sizes with, you know, everything that we offer. So it's not just one steady size image that you'll get lost, you know, just scrolling and stuff. So there's different sizes that open up your eyes, and yeah, I mean, I like what you've done with it, man. It looks good.
Well, thank you. If anybody else out there likes it and is looking for help redesigning their site, I'm not above taking cash. Just hit me up.
Yeah, or if you need help producing a podcast, give me a call.
If you just need somebody to say funny stuff on a podcast, you can call me up for that too. I can BS my way through any subject. It don't matter what it is.
Or we could like lease out your clips. We'll give you like 30 seconds of Mickey for $5 or something, you know. You know, just like they do with music, except it's you know, Mickey farting on the snare drum.
Yeah, we could make like a whole CD or something of just
no cassette. We need to send it out in cassettes.
Well, we put it on all formats, 8-track included.
Okay. Okay. Keep those wheels turning, man.
They're always turning.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got just a couple announcements we want to pass along before we get into the show. We've got the September essay contest, which is now in effect on the Retro Network. And I'll let Mick tell you a little bit more about that.
Well, it went live as we're recording this earlier today. It's going to run from September 1st through September 30th. It's your chance, if you're listening, to get published on the Retro Network. If you're a seasoned writer or if you've never tried to write anything before, now's your chance. Any kind of retro topic that you want to talk about, and you can look at our site to get ideas of the type of stuff we like to talk about, but maybe you want to talk about your favorite cartoons when you were growing up, or you want to talk about the first day of your freshman year in high school, or the first car you had, or your 10 favorite cars from TV shows and movies. Just whatever you want to talk about, You can sit down, put you an essay together, at least 500 words, up through 1,200, 800, whatever you feel like, however long it takes to tell your story. And you can enter a contest. You'll be sending me the information through email. We're going to publish every essay that is submitted, and at the end of the month, at the end of the contest, the TRN staff, we're going to get together and pick our favorite. And the winner of this contest, we are going to make an official offer. You don't have to accept it. We hope you do, but we're making an official offer to join the TRN staff on a regular basis. And the winner will also receive this nostalgia-filled goodie box we've been putting together full of stuff from the 80s and 90s. So you actually get some cool loot plus a chance to continue writing with the Retro Network. And it's real easy to enter. Just put your submission in the body of an email and send it to mickey@theretronetwork.com. And yeah, we'll get you published. Over on the site, you'll find an article called Announcing the TRN Essay Contest, and that gives you all the terms and conditions, all the legal mumbo-jumbo stuff that you have to include with contests like this. And we'll continue throughout the month promoting it on social media just to keep it fresh in people's minds.
Yeah, and I'm putting together a banner that we'll get to put up there. So if you're listening to this, say, middle of September, you click on the banner, and I'm guessing that'll go to basically the rules there that you put together. Okay.
Yep.
So that will be there on the site as well, just to make it easy to click over and submit your entry. And yeah, make it personal, man. Make it past experiences, or just if you're going to put a list together, why you're making those choices. Because everybody's got their own Mount Rushmore of whatever, Hollywood cars or music videos or whatever. And
well, I'll come out and I'll tell everybody this right now. You can write about whatever you want to retro themed. If you want to make a history of He-Man the animated series, that's great. We'd love to have it. But when it comes time to judge these things, I can speak for everyone here at TRN. We are way more into the personal experience side of that stuff than we are just the cut and dry. Here's the history of He-Man. We want to hear about when you discovered He-Man, what you thought of He-Man. So write about whatever you want, but if you want a shot to win, the more personal, the better in a lot of cases.
Definitely agree with that. So yeah, so check that out in September. And like I said, anytime you get on there, just find that banner we're going to have on there, or we'll have it. I'll pin the article to like our Twitter page and Facebook, so you can find it easily, and you'll be able just to get the rules and enter. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm looking forward to what people have to say and how well it fits in with everything else we do. So that's I think a key too is just look and see what comes through your feed every day when we're posting articles and what we're talking about and the style of articles, and you'll get an idea pretty quick of what we're all about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Like I put in the announcement there, it's a little bit selfish too, just because I want to read more other people's personal stories about stuff in the 80s and 90s. So yeah, I'm really excited to be the one to get the first look at all these submissions as they come in. And for those listening who do not plan on participating, but you want to enjoy reading them, they will have their own section on the main site, theretronetwork.com, where you can read all the contest entries in one place.
Cool. Looking forward to that. Okay, and we've got through August, which means we've got a winner for our Patreon giveaway.
Yay!
It is Michael Woods.
Yay!
Michael Woods, better known as Tiny, right?
Tiny. Yep.
Yeah, we've got through there. We had Tony, who backed us, actually moved into the sponsorship level, so that kind of pulled him out of the giveaway part of that, and Michael was there, so he's got the giveaway. I'm going to send that out to him here soon, and we'll announce another little goodie to give away on Patreon for September. So
that's one thing I can always say about Tiny. He's there when you need him. So we needed a winner, and he showed up.
Right. Well, good for him. Good for him. I'm glad he's got that on the way. And yeah, we're going to be Mick's actually logged into Patreon. He's going to be sharing some stuff as well. So we're going to go back and forth, give you some exclusive stuff. We've talked about doing some more like little one-off podcasts, short run, maybe extend a conversation or something that we got into on the show, and post some more of those over there on Patreon. And I'm going to do another outtake in September. So yeah, we've got some stuff planned over there. We'll give you a little behind the scenes content like a lot of people do on Patreon, and give you a little, bird's eye view as to how the Retro Network works.
Yeah, I think I've got some ideas for some fun stuff to put up there. I don't want to spoil them just because I don't know what condition they're currently in, but I did dig out my old high school yearbooks this week, so I may have to share some stuff from those on Patreon.
My yearbooks are within, they're in my bedroom. I know exactly where they are, so maybe that would be fun to like scan some pictures or something. And
yeah, that's really behind the scenes right there.
Well, we are talking about school this week, so that might be good, man.
Oh yeah, I didn't even make. God, where have I been? I didn't even make the connection. Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't a planned segue, but here we are. Yep, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about school. We're going to give you some of our school stories this week in our main discussion, which is now sponsored by Retro Days. I can officially say that. And cool. We'll tell you a little bit more about Retro Days as we get into the main discussion segment. For the clip of the week, I'm gonna dig up some old like Trapper Keeper commercials and stuff around school from back in the day that they were trying to get us to buy. So stay tuned for that as well. But first, as always, we start out with the recurrent events. All right, so starting out recurrent events this week, we've got a few reactions to some trailers that debuted. The first that I wanted you to take a look at, Mick, was the Joker. Tell me what you think about the Joker.
Well, I had watched the original trailer, and I thought, it's okay. But then this new trailer, holy crap, does that look like a good movie. Joaquin Phoenix, I was wrong months ago in that podcast. I didn't know if he could pull it off. He don't remind me of the classic Joker character, but man alive, what an impression he cuts in his own version of Joker. Just, you can tell they're going for a backstory and inspiration of why and how he became the maniacal Joker, and I think it's going to work just from the trailer. I'm really excited for it.
It does look interesting. I did read that he tried not to base it on any previous iteration of the Joker, but me watching it, I think I'm a victim of Marvel, because I'm like, okay, they don't have anything planned beyond this, and I'm going to get invested in this Joker character, but there's nothing else planned beyond that as far as like comic book movies, right? If this was like the setup to the Batman that's coming up with Sparkle Pants there, whatever his name is, left my mind. If they did something like that, then I'd be like, oh, okay, so I need to watch this, so I'll be prepped and pushed into the next movie. And that's the way Marvel works now. It kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of more irritated by it now that, all right, I got to sit through Thor Part 6, so I know what happens in whatever, Avengers 12, and it's the way we watch those movies in a good way and a bad way, I think, now tie everything together, so it's hard to just appreciate a one-off like comic book movie.
Well, director Todd Phillips, I was reading an interview with him about this, that they wanted him to make a comic book movie. He wanted to try to make a comic book movie, but the first thing he thought was, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So right off the bat, a standalone movie these days is kind of against the norm as far as comic book movies.
Right.
And he wanted to ground it in the real world, even ground it more than Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And as a matter of fact, he had a quote in the interview, "You don't need superpowers to kill people," which is what Joker is about.
And very true.
I seen the headline this morning. It debuted yesterday at the Venice Movie Festival.
Right.
It got an 8-minute standing ovation when it was over.
Wow.
So people really liked it who seen it yesterday.
I've seen there's like Oscar buzz around it too. So, I mean, that's in and of itself pretty amazing when you're talking about a what's supposed to be a comic book movie. So,
well, it's going to be very dark, according to Todd Phillips. So he's not necessarily known for making dark movies. You know, The Hangover. And
right.
And...
Well, I read too that he fought with DC for like a year to keep the R rating that he wanted, and keep the violence and whatever else is in there to stay. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I probably won't see it in the theater, but I will be checking it out, when it comes around to streaming or digital.
Well, if I can give a movie a high enough recommendation, I'll say this just from the trailer. That trailer makes me consider actually going to the theater for the first time in years. Wow. I didn't go watch Endgame in the theater. All right. But I might go.
You were the one. You were the one. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of killing people, the next trailer that we got this week was Terminator Dark Fate. And I'm excited about this one. James Cameron's coming back to produce. You got Linda Hamilton, and you've got, I think her name is Mackenzie. Well, no, what's her name? Dadgummit. The girl that was in *Halt and Catch Fire*, that's like her sidekick, looks really good to me. The trailer, and back to more or less the old Terminator style, but they've added the newer, like whatever they're called, T8, whatever the new T800 is, for them to interact with. The young girl herself is like some kind of hybrid between a Terminator and a human. So I don't know. What did you think of the trailer?
How many times can they kill the Terminator version of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and yet he's still in every movie? I mean, I remember watching T2, and he melts away in the hot liquid stuff.
Right.
Molten metal. How's he back? I mean, it's a time travel movie. Anything's possible. But so that part always bugs me about new Terminator movies. But otherwise, just in the trailer, what special effects we got to see looked amazing. I mean, when that one Terminator is like hopping along the ground and splits off into two or three,
yeah,
that just looked incredible. So I think James Cameron back at the helm, and the whole original cast back, Linda Hamilton and Arnie, I think they're gonna have a winner on their hands.
And you've got the Deadpool director too. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So yeah, I'm excited for that. They originally released like an R-rated trailer with everybody cussing, and that made me want to watch it more than the one that we just got. But the special effects, yeah, they look top notch. Looks really good. And then the other trailer we got this week that I had no idea this was happening. It just kind of popped up in my feed. They're rebooting Mr. Mom as a TV series on the Vudu app. That will be coming out September 12th. They're doing like 11 episodes at 12 to 15 minutes. So they're like real short episodes. But I watched that. What did you think of that?
Well, the trailer looked pretty funny. Anyone who has kids and has either been a stay-at-home parent, or like in my case, you've had to watch the kids for a day while the wife is doing something, you can really relate just to what you're seeing in the clips. So I think it'll be humorous on that level of like, oh yeah, I remember those days. Oh yeah, I've been through that. It looked pretty good though.
Yeah, I was laughing. Just some of the, it's if you're a parent, and you'll relate to a lot of the stuff that they show you in the trailer. So I am going to check it out. I do have a Vudu account, and we'll go over there and watch my like digital copies of movies sometime. Had no idea that they were starting to do their own content over there though. So that's another piece of the streaming puzzle that we're going to try to put together for you in that podcast, Vudu.
Oh yeah, I've already got plenty of notes on it. They have some good content on there.
So that was a fun trailer. So yeah, The Joker comes out October 4th, and then Terminator Dark Fate is November 1st, and the Mr. Mom reboot is September 12th. So be looking for those coming up. In movies, I read this week that Ghostbusters is returning to theaters for its 35th anniversary, courtesy our friends over at Fathom Events. We've talked about them quite a bit. We should make them a sponsor of the show. Tickets on sale now. The screenings are October 6th and 10th at 600 AMC theaters. Unfortunately, my local theater is not one of them. which kind of stinks. But what's new about it is they're going to feature like an introduction with the members of the cast, and then some like newly unearthed and rarely seen alternate takes from some of the famous scenes from the movie. And I read back during the whatever they call it, Ghostbusters Fest, or I can't remember what they call it out in California. They had Jason Reitman there, and he was showing them some scenes. It was the scenes from the, what is it, Fort, oh gosh, I can't remember. It was where they had the Civil War scenes, and where we get that kind of slapped together scene where Aykroyd is in bed and the ghost, gives him a little love in there. But if you've ever noticed, he's in like that Civil War outfit, and it was always like out of place. Well, they filmed this whole scene at this fort where they're like trying to catch ghosts, and they had to cut that whole scene out, except, and I'm not sure why they left that part in there, part of that dream sequence, but anyway. So you're going to get some of those scenes, which I'm assuming that they'll put on some kind of, I don't know. They seem to release Ghostbusters to Blu-ray every 2 years, and it's mainly, they're up to the 4K HD release now, but they add little deleted scenes and stuff with each release, so that'll give them another excuse to release Ghostbusters in whatever format is next. But anytime it comes to the theater, I love going to see Ghostbusters, just because it was one of the first I remember seeing in the theater. Yeah,
I wish we had an AMC theater around here too. Not that I would go watch it, but just for other people to be able to go watch it, it would be nice. Nothing against the movie. I love the movie. It was in my top 15 on Flickchart. It's just, That's
something else we need to do for Patreon is revisit our lists as we move stuff up and down. That would be fun. So like do here's our 80s list now type of episode.
Well, we didn't really reveal our numbers 11 through 20 on that episode either. Maybe we could do that on Patreon or something. A little deep dive or something. Maybe a written version of it. Or a screenshot. Hey, here you go. Check this out.
Take the easy way out. Yeah. All right, we're moving along to TV. I just started watching again Cobra Kai. Season 1 is now streaming for free with ads on YouTube for a limited time, though. That's the key. So you've got to watch Season 1 now. It'll be on there through September 12th. And then on September 11th, we're going to start seeing the new season, Season 2, for free with ads. So those of us who subscribed to YouTube the first time just to see the season and get rid of the free trial, we'll be able to watch the Season 2 on September 11th.
I'm in that same boat too. The first season I really liked, and I'm just like you said, I signed up just to be able to watch it, and then I just didn't continue renewing it, waiting on Season 2. So I will take advantage of watching Season 2. And do we have news on when Season 3 drops? Will it be in the spring again?
I have not seen when it's supposed to. I know that they've announced we're going to get Season 3, but I have not seen when that's supposed to come out.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's interesting that they're just making that available for a limited time. I don't know what the game plan is, past once Season 2 is released, if they're going to put that behind the paywall again or whatever.
Well, I think they're doing away with their paywalls in general. You can still
Oh, really?
pay money for an ad-free experience, but they're not going to have anything behind, nothing exclusive to a paywall.
Okay.
And it was supposed to start here in September, so I guess this is the first example of it.
Interesting. Well, I wonder what they're doing with Season 1 then after Season 2 drops. They're just going to get rid of it altogether. But
they really shouldn't, unless they're going to license it to another streaming service, which is always possible with all these streaming services popping up. They're willing to pay for stuff, and that is a YouTube original show. They could
Interesting.
sell the rights to it or, lease the rights to it.
The other interesting thing, too, is they're releasing Season 2 on a week-to-week basis. They're not dropping all the episodes at once.
Yeah, that was odd, I thought.
Yeah, so I know we're definitely going to want to do like a roundtable review at some point, but it might be 10 weeks down the road before we get the chance to see all the episodes. So, I don't know. We'll see See what happens with that.
Yeah. I'm looking here. Since we're on it, I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm looking up. I'm not seeing a release date, but it says Daniel is going back to Okinawa in Cobra Kai's 3rd season.
Really?
So I guess they're going to do something based off the 2nd movie.
I wonder where they're going to go with that then. That's weird, because I know Kreese is in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think that they're just like open up like, battling dojos or something to get that rivalry going again. But
well, you and I haven't watched season 2. Maybe they did and wrapped all that up in the 2nd season.
Could have, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out when we start watching season 2.
Yep, next week after.
Okay, more TV. One of the channels that I really like on my Roku, have checked out for, several months now, is Pluto TV. And they announced this week they're going to do a 24-hour James Bond channel ahead of the No Time to Die release, which that's the new Bond movie that comes out in April of next year. The channel is live now, and it's going to feature 18 of the 24 Bond films in rotation up through April. So this is what's neat about Pluto TV is they've got enough space on there, and when you click on the channel, it looks like a traditional cable setup where you scroll through your guide and pick a channel. But they've got space in there just to set up whatever channel they want to at any time. So we'll go in there and turn on. There's like a full channel of just Unsolved Mysteries episodes that you can go to and just tune in at any time. So that's what I like about Pluto, that you can go in there and you never know what's going to be playing, on 24-hour loop and get sucked into. Yeah, James Bond. I wonder why. Well, I guess the other 6 movies are probably licensed somewhere else at the moment.
I wonder if those would be the Sean Connery movies or if those would be the most recent movies.
See, I'm guessing the more recent ones, which would be strange. They wouldn't have any of the Daniel Craig. How many has he done? 4 now, I think?
I don't know.
I think this is his 5th. So that could be it. But yeah, anyway, that's going on over at Pluto TV. Get your James Bond fix. And then we had some sad news this week in TV related. Valerie Harper passed away at the age of 80 after a decade-long battle with lung cancer. She's best known for a role, of course, as Rhoda in The Mary Tyler Moore Show and the spin-off series of the same name. I know her mainly from the 1986 sitcom Valerie, which later became The Hogan Family. And I had read that once before. I went back just with her on the mind this week and went through that whole deal of why she came off the show and why Sandy Duncan came on. And she was fired, basically. And then she sued NBC and won $1.4 million and 12.5% of the show's profits after she was fired. But it still went on for, I think, 2 or 3 more seasons after she left with Sandy Duncan. And she, in her career, won 4 Emmys and a Golden Globe. So
I was a fan of the Hogan Family, and I remember when it was just called Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the Hogan Family. I thought it was a pretty good show.
I liked them both, yeah.
The Hogan Family, that was the one that had Willard Scott as a guest on a lot, wasn't it? As the neighbor?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I love that show then with him on there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what kind of shows or sitcoms were on that it felt like it was like a back-to-back with something else, and I didn't really look at the TV guide to know what it was that I watched with the Hogan Family each week. It might have been like Alf or something, but I don't know if Alf was. I think Alf was an NBC show. Anyway, it just felt like there was something on, and then I watched the Hogan Family like right after it. I'll have to look that up this week.
Probably Charles in Charge or something.
Charles in Charge. All right, let's get on to some toy news. We've got a few stories this week in toys. Have you seen this Unicron that Hasbro's trying to make? It's like huge. It's like the largest Transformer to date.
No, I've missed that one so far.
They started this new project called the Haslab project, and it's basically like a crowdfunding system, and they throw out there some crazy toy, and if they get enough backers, then they'll actually make it and ship it out to you. Well, they had been trying to do this Unicron, which it's 27 inches tall, and when he transforms into the planet, remember Unicron was the planet on the original Transformers movie. That's 30 inches in diameter. The price tag, $575.
Good gosh almighty.
And they're trying to get 8,000 people to back this thing. They're up to almost 5,600 now. But they extended the deadline. They had, I think it was the end of August, but they pushed it through October 6th now, through the end of New York City Comic Con, which I imagine they'll have one there for people to look at. But I thought it was interesting. There's some other ones that they've pushed through there. I'm trying to remember what was the previous one that made it through. Another one they're trying to do was like a life-size Cookie Monster, like a puppet, I
don't want to beat a dead horse, but they've got 5,600 backers out of 8,000. If they slap a retro Hill sticker on the design of that box, that's probably worth another 1,000 people right there.
Right? I don't know. It might take a little bit more than a Hill sticker to get me to buy a $575 Transformer.
What if it was a $575 Trapper Keeper that was a Transformer with a Hill sticker on it?
A Trapper Keeper Transformer. I got to think about that for a minute.
See, already the wheels are turning.
Wow. Okay. More news in the toys this week. We talked about those Savage World figures from Funko a while back. Remember, we kind of discovered those. You were on Amazon hunting them down. They announced a Wave 2 for the Thundercats this week, which will give you Chitara, Tigra, Monkian, and Jackalman. And in the first line, they released Lino, Mumra, Panthro, and Slithe. So do not have a release date on those yet, but Funko announced that this week. And that one took me down a little rabbit trail on Amazon, just looking at all the characters that they have. And I think some of them work. Some of them, I don't know. I think the superhero characters look a little weird with all the muscles.
Yeah, but they still look cool, though. I guess when I first seen those, the superhero versions, it just put me back in that mood of looking at new He-Man figures on the shelf, but it's Green Lantern or it's Aquaman. I'm like, man, I love those things.
Well,
hey,
that's
speaking of Funko, I just seen something today. They partnered with Disney. Hey, put this as the recurrent headline here. Funko has partnered with Disney to create cereal based on Disney villains. They're releasing an Ursula cereal, and what was the other one? Oogie Boogie or something? Or Boogie, Oogie, Bogey, Oogie. I don't know. Not familiar with the character, but the boxes look cool as can be, though.
I got last year, thanks to Retro Days and the Halloween special, I got a goodie box from that, which included the Friday the 13th cereal, the Jason Voorhees cereal. That was the worst cereal I've ever put in my mouth, let me tell you.
I wouldn't imagine. I wouldn't imagine. Now, you didn't buy it, I know, but I wouldn't imagine you would buy that cereal to eat it. I got a feeling that's the type of thing you would buy and put up on a shelf.
It is. It really is. And it came with like a exclusive smaller Funko figure, in the box, whatever, like as a special prize. But oh my gosh, they got to do something to improve the taste, because I've seen it in the stores, and for somebody that doesn't collect cereal boxes, I want to eat the cereal. I mean, it's got to taste somewhat good. I don't need to taste like an actual Funko figure, But
what is it, like $4.95 a box or something? That's still pretty cheap for a nice shelf piece.
I think it's like $8. Oh. The cereal I saw at Target, I think, was like in the $7.99 range. But anyway, that was just my whole take on it. Not that I didn't appreciate the prize. I kept the box and the figure, but that cereal, man, it like, after leaving cereal in there, especially the sugary cereal, it kind of clumps together. That thing clumped from day one and just never came apart.
Did you try it?
I needed like a pickaxe to put it in the bowl, man.
Did you try it with water on it instead of milk?
No, I did not. Maybe that's what I needed. I needed to loosen it up with a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe some orange juice around it just to break it apart. The acidic value. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's I like Funko. I'm not a huge Funko collector, but I appreciate what they're doing. Being creative.
Yeah.
Definitely very creative with some of these products. This one hit. I love how the internet twists stories to essentially get you to click on the headline, and that's what I felt this story was this week. The headline that I saw was Hasbro purchased Death Row Records for $4 billion. Well, the headlines from all of the websites that I saw, that was just kind of like, okay, Death Row is part of this deal, which was from Entertainment One, who owns Death Row Records. They're actually going after Peppa Pig and PJ Masks, is what Hasbro's doing, so they can, put those franchises to work. It's not Death Row, they're not out there trying to put together a Snoop Dogg, Mr. Potato Head, or a Straight Outta Compton Monopoly. I mean,
yeah, they ain't making a Suge Knight Easy Bake Oven for drying your herb or anything, people. Let's settle down.
But that's just the way.
Pretty cool though.
I can see something, not something like that, but I can see some figures coming out or something. But I don't even know if that's part of what the rights that they have to the music. So people just need to calm down and stop putting these headlines up.
Maybe we'll finally get some 5-inch action figure play sets of Tupac and Suge Knight in a Escalade with a Vegas strip set that you can play with and stuff.
Oh, that's awful, man. That's awful.
Well, what if they turned it into a G.I. Joe storyline where it turned out that Storm Shadow was the assassin, and because Suge Knight was some master Black Hand assassin, and we just never heard all that in the news stories.
That's crazy.
At least you could recreate it. They make the toys, we'll tell the stories.
That's true. Hasbro does own G.I. Joe. That's very true. All right. And then just a couple more stories will get us going here on our...
Well, hold on. Let's go back and revisit this here. Straight out of Compton Monopoly. So what kind of properties do you think that would entail? I can picture stuff like Big Jim's liquor store and, Uncle Sonny's garage.
Yeah. Big Fat's barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Huh.
Oh my gosh. Moving along, that's not necessarily a toy, but more in the tech market. Everybody knows Lisa Frank and all of the designs from back in the day, like in 80s and 90s, the rainbows and the brightly colored, animals and unicorns and stuff. They've got a whole line coming out now from this company called, I want to call them Casetify because it sounds good. I don't know if it's like Casetify or whatever, but
we'll go with Casetify.
Yeah, we'll go with Casetify. They've got a new officially licensed mobile phone and smartwatch accessories collection. These look pretty cool, and like I said, we might have some girls that listen to the podcast that remember collecting a lot of that stuff. I didn't do any Lisa Frank back in the day, but iPhone cases, iPad, Apple Watch bands, those phone little ring holders and such. They're going to have all those Lisa Frank designs on there, and you can check that out at Casetify.com. I was trying to think, maybe they should come up with a line in that with all the Trapper Keeper designs. That would be fun.
Oh,
to put on your iPhone. Make it blue with the red Lamborghini and the green with the palm trees and all the whole nine, man. They need to have a Trapper Keeper officially licensed collection.
I want to see like a college football head coach or a pro football head coach on the sideline with that Trapper Keeper that had the football player on it. I want to see them holding it on the sideline, flipping through all their plays in it. That'd be great.
I wonder if anybody ever did that back in the day.
Oh no, but that dude, he's legit then.
The offensive coordinator with the Trapper Keeper playbook.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be an action figure.
Yes.
Like from the starting lineup line.
Hell, I need to volunteer to coach a little league football team just to be able to do that.
Yep. Yes, you do. All right. So this last one we're going to talk about, it was just a fun headline. There's a guy in Japan. This is according to Kotaku.com. He quit his job to essentially break the Guinness World Records for the most Dragon Ball Z merchandise. Like, they were showing a video of how much stuff this guy has. It's like over 10,000 pieces of merchandise. So it kind of begged the question to me, if you put yourself in his shoes, it really doesn't make sense to quit your job to try to collect something because you need an income. But anyway, if you put yourself in his shoes, what franchise's merch would you try to collect to like break the world record?
Me personally?
Yes, you personally.
One of two, either G.I. Joe 3 and 3, Real American Hero 3 3/4 inch. But I'd imagine you could own everything they ever made and you'd be tied with a whole lot of other people in this world. The other one would be Lego, because they have produced thousands of different sets through the years and stuff. So, yeah, either one of those. Well, I'd go with G.I. Joe just for my own personal enjoyment, but Lego if I'm trying to set a world record.
See, I'm trying to like back off a little bit because you think about G.I. Joe and trying to collect everything that was ever made with a G.I. Joe logo on it or something. That's some serious stuff right there, man. That's tens of thousands of pieces of stuff. So I'm like, I need to find a franchise, maybe like the A-Team or something that would be not quite as large. And I doubt everybody has everything that has the A-Team on it, Is
Guinness going to certify world record for something that just don't have a lot of stuff, though,
I don't know. I don't know what they kind of do whatever the heck they want.
Oh, that's true. But I know Dragon Ball Z's been around forever, and you think of all the different, just the cards alone.
Right.
Tons of. So that's a very ambitious project there.
Yeah. I didn't think about that, too, of how many pieces would it take to qualify for a Guinness record? There might be a number, but I don't know.
That guy we follow on Twitter, 80s then, 80s now.
Yes.
He talks about his massive collection. How big is his collection, did he say?
I think he said it was over like 10,000 pieces, but it was ambiguous enough that they wouldn't certify him as like having a world record.
Right.
So he's got a little bit of everything, board games to McDonald's Happy Meal boxes to whatever, that they wouldn't just simply classify that as an 80s collection or something.
Now he's somebody who needs to open one of these Airbnb places we've been talking about, and he wouldn't even have to like make it a theme. It's just he opens up a room in his house for you to come spend the night at, and part of the price you get to look at his cool old collection of stuff.
Absolutely. I'd be coming in like cargo pants and just oh yeah, look at this stuff. Hey, what's over here? And put a couple little things in your, you got 10,000 pieces. You're not going to miss a couple Happy Meal toys or something,
Yeah.
Share the wealth. All right. Well, we didn't really have too many anniversaries, so I just canned that segment this week. And we're going to go right into our main.
Oh,
yeah.
There is an anniversary. Let's see. What day is this dropping on? The 3rd? Hey, yeah. Before the next episode drops, there is an important anniversary.
Tell me.
My 18th wedding anniversary, September 9th.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
18 years. Good for you.
People ask how long we've been married, and I'll be like, 10 happy years. My wife's like, we've been married 18. I'm like, I know that. I know. That's not what they ask.
See, I got off easy because if anybody asks me how many years we've been married, all I got to remember is what year it is, because we were married in 2000. So we're coming up on 20 in May.
I was married in 2000. Yeah.
So this is 19 then.
Oh, God almighty. Yeah, it is. Hey, it's our 19th wedding anniversary.
Well, I'm glad we hashed this out before you actually, took her out to dinner or whatever, and to celebrate your 18th again.
Take her out to dinner. We've been married 19 years. We don't go out to dinner anymore.
Well, you got older kids now that can stay at home, right? Do you let your kids stay at home by themselves?
Yeah.
Well, that's the perfect excuse now to go out and go out for a dinner.
They stay at home by themselves when I have to go out somewhere, but I typically choose not to go out somewhere.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Now, we typically, I take her out of town for the weekend, and we leave the kids with their grandmother, and we haven't really settled on anything this year. So sometimes we go as close to our anniversary as we can. Sometimes we wait a little closer to the beginning of October when the
I've got it.
weather's a little nicer.
In 2
RetroCon.
weeks. Yeah. In 2 weeks, ticket to RetroCon.
But I want to go have a good time if I go somewhere like that. So that's probably not the best option. Well, I mean, no, think about it. I'm not saying that to be callous, but let's say we did do that and we go and it's our anniversary trip and something comes up. You guys want to go see Cybertronic Spree and I'm down and she's not. What do you do in that situation? It's our anniversary, but I really want to go see Cybertronic Spree. And yeah. So anyway, that's not the perfect trip. You both got to be invested in something to enjoy it together for something like that.
Well, you buy her a Cabbage Patch Kid and she'll be gracious for that.
Cabbage Patch Kid.
Or whatever she was into back in the day, you know.
What was she into back in the day? I don't
My
know.
Little Pony, Rainbow Bright,
No.
Care Bears.
She's several years older than I am, so she was from a different generation as far as that goes. I think she was into like Balls of String and playing Cat's Cradle and
Oh, wow.
stuff.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. She might listen to this. I'm just saying that to tease her. I always tease her about stuff.
Double
like
Dutch and Jacks and
that. But she was graduating high school when I was in the 6th grade, so I still rub that in a little bit.
okay. She robbed the cradle, huh?
Well, she couldn't help it, you know.
Yeah.
People around here call her lucky.
All right. We'll leave it at that. And coming up, we're going to give you some school stories from back in the day. And this is going to be fun. I really didn't write anything down as far as notes, so we'll just see where this takes us.
Well,
as we
welcome
talk
to my
about school.
world.
Yeah. I'm taking a page out of your book. Yeah, absolutely.
It's always best when it just hits you and you can talk about it. We didn't even decide what we were going to talk about this week until yesterday. And it's like,
Yep.
people going back to school or already back in school. I'm sure we both have all kinds of fun school memories that people can relate to out there. So
All
this
right.
should be a lot of fun.
Well, stick around and you'll hear what we come up with in our main discussion this week.
Hey everybody, have you heard the news? There's a back-to-school sale at Payless for you. Yeah, they got what you need when the summer ends.
Like pencils and notebooks, crayons and pens,
Watercolors, booklet,
tube socks and shoes,
scissors and erasers, anything you choose.
lunch boxes,
Pencil boxes,
notebook paper,
glue,
typewriters,
calculators,
tape recorders too.
even got a scooter.
Gotta get the best.
You're gonna get more, but you're gonna pay less.
So what's the best part?
About back to school, it's a back-to-school sale.
At Payless.
The dog ate it.
It's
My brother's holding it for ransom.
aliens ransacked my room.
My printer's down.
You won't need excuses for losing your schoolwork with the Trapper Keeper because Trapper's special folders and pockets keep an amazing amount of work organized, secure, and right where you want it.
It's on the spaceship to Pluto.
The one and only Trapper, only from Mead.
All right, we are back to have our topical discussion this week, which is sponsored by Retro Days. You heard about it last week here when Tony was on with us, but it's a great retro community over there, retro-daze, DAZE.org. And wanted you to go and subscribe to their YouTube channel mainly, which has that new RD's Detention series with our friend Adam. The latest episode is on the Dark Crystal. I have not watched it yet, but I did watch the Power Rangers one that they released recently. That was great. And this series has just been fun from the get-go. So we're going to put a link to the Retro Days YouTube channel in the show notes so you can go follow them over there. But yeah, like we said, our topical discussion this week, we're going back to school, man. It's that time. My kids already been to school for a month now. Hard to believe. But I remember back in the day, we didn't start till after Labor Day.
Right. And that's part of what spurred me to want to talk about this, because we talked about it, you and I, a couple of weeks ago, that your kids were already back, but where we homeschool, our kids are not starting back until, well, actually they'll start the day this drops, on Tuesday. But I remembered then too that we didn't start until after Labor Day, and now it's crept up earlier and earlier and earlier. And when we were starting after Labor Day, that was still back in the times when we missed a fair amount of school because of snow, and we still didn't start early in the summer. I don't know what's going on these days with starting so early.
Well, they put these they get a week-long spring break. They get a week at Thanksgiving, 2 weeks around Christmas. Well, actually, I think it's more like 3 weeks, because they'll get like wherever Christmas falls, they'll get that whole week, and then leading up to there and not go back until after the New Year. And I don't remember getting those long breaks as a kid.
I remember getting a long Christmas break because
Christmas mainly, yeah.
We would go back the first business day after the New Year, whether that would be, if it fell on a weekend or something, you'd have another day or two. But we'd be off for that whole week between Christmas and New Year's, and roughly a week leading up to Christmas we'd be off. So it was a little over 2 weeks. But Thanksgiving, I only ever remember being off Thursday and Friday. And nowadays around here, they have the Wednesday off as well.
Oh, yeah. Ours get off. They have the whole week. Yeah, I remember sometimes we'd get out maybe early on Wednesday. But, yeah, we had to go Thanksgiving week. And, yeah, if you got the snow days, like you said, you were going till like mid-June.
Of course, we touched on it, you and I, too. We missed a lot of days. We would do Saturday school here in this area, which was just the worst, the worst. But you had to miss a certain number of days. And then as you come out of the snow season, they'd schedule some Saturday days. Oh, my goodness. Going to school 6 days a week, and Saturday, and 80s cartoons being on Saturday mornings, and you're having to miss that. That was child abuse. That was borderline child abuse.
It was, man. I had never heard of such a thing. And we got as many snow days as anybody in Central PA. So, wow, I just can't believe that. I would rather extend it into June than to be going on Saturdays. It's nuts.
Right. Well, what year did you start school? I mean, kindergarten. When?
Would have been 81.
I started in 84. So you and I both were in those glory days of, you're in school during the great 80s, so you had plenty of cool stuff to talk to your friends about every day at recess and lunch and what have you. So,
yeah, 81. I went to, I don't know what your experience was like, but I went to a small private school for the majority of the time. I went to public school in kindergarten, and then the church that we were attending built a school next door, and I went to that until I graduated. And there was several of us in our graduating class, which was all of 10 people, that I had known since first grade, like 3 or 4 people. So that was a unique experience that, you think about public schools, and if you're one of those big ones that graduated with 300 people, like my wife did, you're not going to see those same people, even though you're in the same grade, throughout the years. You're not going to see them every year. So having those guys, like a close-knit group, was a fun experience throughout my years.
Well, see, this is already turning into a good conversation because I didn't know you went to private school. So our experiences probably differ much more than I thought they would have. Of course, I went to public school, but living in a rural area like we do, it was not a large graduating class. I think I graduated in 96. Our graduating class then, I think, was 117, somewhere around there anyway. So it was not a huge class by any stretch of the imagination. Our whole high school had around 500 students, and that was for freshman through senior year. But now growing up and going to elementary school, you either A, looked forward to getting to high school, or B, dreaded getting to high school. For most of my elementary school life, you started high school in the 8th grade. But not long before we were to leave elementary school, our county implemented middle school. So we finished our 7th grade year in elementary school, which is what it had always traditionally been. And then the middle school, the actual building I went to elementary school in became the middle school, which would house 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. So we had to stay at that school an extra year to do 8th grade, but we were the first middle school class. So we were the guinea pigs for all these new programs they wanted to institute, computer class and different things. So that was a pretty fun experience. But I loved elementary school. Just loved elementary. I mean, thinking back, I probably didn't then, but looking back on it now, I loved elementary school and everything that went with it. Just the dances you would have. Of course, I'm saying this, somebody went to private school. I'm not sure what you all had. But
yeah, we had banquets. It wasn't like prom. It was banquets. Mainly.
Well, we had a 7th grade banquet when we finished elementary school, and then we ended up having an 8th grade banquet as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you got it back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom didn't have to buy a new suit for you.
Well, that was probably the best part of the whole experience was we were the top dog class 2 years in a row. Yeah, you're the senior most people in that building for 2 years running. That was a pretty good experience.
Cool. Yeah, even though I went to private school, I still got a good part of the public school experience because the school I went to was 9 miles away, and I was a bus rider. And what they did was I would bus to my local public school, get on the bus with the seniors, juniors and seniors going to the tech school that was down near where we were. And that was my bus trip every morning. So I went to the close by public school to go to my private school on the way to tech school with the seniors. So we got just razzed by the seniors every year on the bus. I could tell you many stories about just riding on that bus, but you got your whole experience there of just life in general, I guess you'll say, as a 3rd or 4th grader riding with, juniors and seniors every day. So I got a bit of that, but yeah, it was still, I enjoyed those years, and I probably wouldn't put my kids on the bus now. I'd take them, but,
oh man, come on now. The bus ride was as much of an experience as school itself was.
It was. We had the coolest bus driver in the world too, because the last day of the year, the last day of school, he would let us, and I think he even helped to bring like squirt guns and stuff, but we would have like a water battle on the bus.
Oh, wow.
So we'd bring like all of our little squirt guns and everything we could find. And he had like buckets of water. I remember like walking in, there's like a bucket of water up front. So we could just go to town on the bus. So that was a unique experience.
Our bus driver let us smoke on the bus.
Yeah, he let them. Well, I wouldn't doubt it, but the juniors and seniors, they would bring like their boom boxes along the ride. And so while I'm getting hit in the head with their class rings, I'm listening to like Quiet Riot and everything else. I'm getting my whole like hard rock education. So our bus driver allowed a lot. I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past him that he wouldn't care if they smoked out the back.
Well, in my high school days, when you headed to the cafeteria, just before you entered it was the janitor's office. And the janitor, Clyde, was a smoker. You couldn't smoke in school, but if you snuck in there and wanted to smoke one with him, if you'd let him bum one, he'd sweep it under the rug for you. So you could duck into his office and sit in there on the couch with him and smoke a cigarette before you eat lunch.
Yeah, man. I love the rec room. The rec room was like, you go in, you could sneak in there and get away with a lot of stuff. We went in there. Our rec room had, we had helium, like a tank of helium on hand.
So cool.
So we'd go in there and take a hit of helium every once in a while and get a good laugh out of that. And then there was one kid who we'd be in class or something and kind of go to the restroom. Well, he'd go to the restroom, walk down to the restroom, take a hit of helium, and try to walk all the way back to class, and then let out a, how are you guys doing? Whatever, to get the whole class rolling.
Yeah, and
finally the teacher, I think, caught on that it wasn't just his normal voice, that what he was doing. But oh yeah, we used to do that all the time. Take hits off the helium tank.
Well, that's pretty fun. We didn't have a rec room, man. I guess we're maybe that was more of a private school thing because you didn't have as many people who would be using the room. But our rec room would either be the cafeteria or the library. But it's still not like a rec room. We would have I remember when they put juice machines in. It's like pop machines, but selling cans of fruit juice. And my aunt used to work, well, actually, she still works for the vending company who supplied all that. And you'd catch her in there stocking it. She'd let you have a chocolate soldier or something for free every now and then. That was always a big deal.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I call it a rec room, but it was more storage than anything. I mean, I remember going down there one time and we were messing around with a medicine ball I think it was after hours. I can't remember what we were doing, but we got in there. So we're just throwing around this medicine ball to each other, trying to catch the thing. And a friend of mine moves, and the rec room had like a ton of pipes just going to everywhere in there. And he hit a pipe with the medicine ball, and the water just starts shooting up like a fountain because the medicine ball had stuck right between the pipe where it like took out a section, and the water was just shooting off of it and then straight up in the air. And we're like running out to the secretary out front. Shut off the water! We gotta shut off the water. And we spent a good, I don't know, probably 2 hours mopping after school that day, just because we were fooling around in there.
Well, how were being in public or in private school? How was the school lunches there?
No, it was probably as the same as public school. You know, the rubberized frozen pizza that you get on Fridays, and we did have a fun system. Like, I don't know if you had this or not, but so when your parents pay for your lunch, you'd get a token for a lunch and a token for your drink, your milk or juice or whatever. And we use these like little clear blue and red plastic tokens. And our teacher would keep them in like an old film case, like the black case with the gray lid.
Yeah.
Little round film case. And then he would chuck them to us like before class. And then we had to like toss in our lunch and juice token before we got, our stuff. So that was like a fun system. And, you know, we were cool if we could like, you know, catch the film case with like one hand behind our head or something. And it became like a competition, and whoever was chucking them at you too, you know, you'd take turns going around for people throwing them at you. But, so that was like our system going in there, but lunches I don't remember anything special about our lunches.
Oh man, I hate to hear that because our lunches were homemade at school, and that rubbery pizza you're talking about on Fridays, theirs was homemade pizza.
Oh,
but they would do it on a sheet pan, you know, and slice it in these big rectangle slices for everybody. But yeah, not everything was homemade. Like if you had chicken nuggets day, those were frozen chicken nuggets. But you had fresh homemade rolls every day. They'd make real mashed potatoes to go with those chicken nuggets, and they'd, you know, cook canned corn to go with those chicken nuggets, and we'd have the cookies every day that you could buy. And we had for a rural area, maybe that's why ours was home cooked for one thing, it was a smaller class, but the food was good. And when we got to high school, you had multiple lunch lines. So you had the line where they would be serving the meal. Let's just say chicken nuggets, corn, mashed potatoes, and a roll. And then over here, you had what they called the deli line, which was always French fries and some sandwich, hot ham and cheese or grilled chicken sandwich or hamburger. And they had the little stuff there you could add yourself as you went through the line, lettuce, tomato, whatever you wanted. And we had the pizza line, which had the little round individual pizzas that you see at different places now. Those were, of course, microwave pizzas or whatever, but they'd bake them. And then they didn't have this all the time, they had the leftover line, which was anything. Yeah, it was what was left over from the day before. So if you had a hamburger in the deli line yesterday and you don't like what they're having today, but they have some hamburgers heated up and left over, you could go through there and get that. So it was a good system. And then we had the cookies. You could go buy 3 hot, soft, gooey chocolate chip cookies for whatever, 50 cents. We had the ice cream box. It had all the novelty ice creams in it you could buy. We had for a while a salad bar. They called it a salad bar. It wasn't what you're thinking, where you go make your own salad. they had these prepackaged salads set out. Some would be lettuce, tomatoes, carrots. Some would be, have onions in it or whatever. So we had a lot of choices, and all the food was always good, especially those schoolhouse rolls. Man, those things were just fantastic. Yeah, so our food experience was really good. The problem was when you entered the cafeteria, all those lines were contained in 2 separate lines. So, and they had the menus written up on a dry erase board at the front, and you're entering from the back of the room. So you're trying to go
know which line to get into.
Yeah, you're trying to go full speed to get in line. At the same time, you're trying to read both menus and decide which line. If you're growing up in Pennsylvania, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. You've been across the Tappan Zee Bridge, I'm sure, haven't you? Going towards New York City?
No.
Well,
I've not been.
What? Have you ever been to New York City?
No, have never been to New York City.
Really? Okay, well then you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there is this place as you're entering New York on the highway where the highway is like 8 lanes in each direction. And you're coming up on these toll booths, and all of a sudden, the painted lines on the road just stop. And it's 1 lane that's 8 lanes wide, and people are zigging and zagging trying to dart to the shortest line. That's what this felt like. You're running, you're like, it's like every day's a tryout for running back for the football team because you're bowling over people and bouncing off and doing spin moves trying to get in line. It was tough every day to figure out which line you needed to be in and get there. That was hard.
Yeah, we had 1 line, and you got those little plastic trays and slop on there, whatever you wanted to. I remember maybe doing like a couple lunches a week. They would pay for a couple lunches, and I mainly brown bag or metal lunchbox the rest of the days of the week.
Well, in elementary school, yeah, you wanted the cool thing to do to bring your lunch in elementary school because one, you got to show off, like you said, that cool metal lunchbox. Which I had a He-Man lunchbox for a while. I had a G.I. Joe lunchbox for a while, and I'm sure I had others that I don't remember. But yeah, you wanted to take your lunch in elementary school in our area.
Yeah, I remember when we finally got like a Coke machine in the lunchroom. That was a big deal. And then every Friday we had school store, which was just a slew of candy, nerds and cowtails, and we would make a beeline for the school store. And sometimes that was our lunch too, if depending on what was going on that day. But I remember buying like trading cards there too. Like I've got some cards still that were a set of like football cards that came with like 2 candy canes. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of them. I'll have to go out and look, but they sold other little novelty stuff there too, like trading cards and stuff with the candy. So that was always fun on Fridays.
You brought up school store. Before I tell you about my school store, you got to get the recorder ready for this one. But speaking of Fridays, when we was in elementary school, this was kindergarten and 1st grade, maybe only in the 2nd grade. Our principal was a big Washington Redskins fan. Uh-huh. And during football season, he would come around to the younger classes, like kindergarten, 1st grade, walk up and down the aisles of the desk and give every student a Topps football card of a Washington Redskins player. And he'd done that for years. Every Friday that the Washington Redskins played a football game on Sunday, I wish I still had all those because at this point, hell, I'd probably have 30 or 40 of them, which was just a cool little thing to do as a principal.
Yeah.
But get ready for my school store story. So in high school, I'm president of DECA, Distributive Education Clubs of America. It's tied in with the marketing class. And one of the projects that the class had to do every year was we ran the school store. Now, this was a traditional school supply store. It didn't have, it wasn't supposed to have candy and this and that and the other thing for sale. And as president, I had to run the school store. And it was pretty much this glorified broom closet that had one of those Dutch doors where the top would open and the bottom would stay closed if you wanted it to.
Right.
And so I had all the school supplies on shelves back behind me, and the price cards were made up on index cards folded over into a TP triangle with the price written on it. Well, I ran this thing for a couple of years, and it was the hangout before school every morning. It was only open before school from like 8 to 8:30. So on the backs of all those price cards, I had other prices written, and I would turn them around at my leisure and make a personal profit off this deal. if a lead pencil was 50 cents, the backside said 75, and every now and then I turn it around and charge you 75 cents for a lead pencil. And I had that made for everything. But it eventually, oh my goodness. And this is just so coincidental because you and I were talking earlier this week about wagering on football. Not that you wager on football for people listening. We was talking about my experience wagering on football. Well, I used to run the numbers out of the school store there when I was in high school. That was my bookie shop. I would take bets there, run NCAA tournament pools out of there, run punch boards and pull cards and tip boards. So there was always a crowd around the school supply store. And Miss Hill, money. Paula Hill, the marketing teacher, bless her heart, but it always puzzled her a little bit. She's like, well, the sales are always normal as they've been through the years, but you always have a much bigger crowd there that maybe they're just browsing. I'm like, yep. And I used to sell baseball cards and stuff out of there too, not unopened packs, but I'd run like a card trading and comic book trading little business out of there and stuff too. It was fun. The Confessions of a Teenage Bookie. Running bets out of the school supply store. Wow. I had a little black book and everything. I had to keep it all down in.
Wow. Yeah. They would have probably kicked us out if they had found out about that. But
probably to kick me out too.
Probably you too. Yeah. Yeah. We never did anything like that. I mean, I remember having like, substitute teachers come in to homeroom and we all played basketball. So we would get a basketball out from the corner and like throw it back and forth while she was looking at the blackboard or something during class, stupid stuff like that. But well, we're not taking bets, man.
Well, I've done a lot of stuff in my youth that I'm not proud of, but that's one of the things I am proud of. So, Now that we're entering fall, I got to ask you, did your private school have any kind of fall festival?
No, I don't think we had anything in the fall. We had a field day each year, like, track and field, but with, like the sack race and egg toss and all that stuff. We didn't really have I don't think that was in the fall though. I think that was in the spring.
Well, I called it a fall festival, and Tiny, who I know is going to be listening to this, he's going to sit and get this warm, fuzzy feeling inside from me talking about this. In October every year, we used to have what we called the Harvest Festival. Schools in the area now call them their Fall Festival or whatever. But on Saturday night generally, or Friday night, I think it was Saturday nights we always had it, about mid-October, third week October, the gym would be transformed into this mini carnival where you'd buy tickets and you'd play games to win cheap prizes. And through the gym was the cafeteria where the adults, the parents would all be playing bingo for sponsored prizes. All these businesses would give prizes and they'd sell bingo cards and tickets, and they'd have a concession stand with hot dogs. Up on the stage inside the gym was the haunted house that 7th grade or the most senior class was always responsible for putting on the haunted house. People would pay tickets and go through. And down the hallway was what was called the Bat Cave, which is fitting for this show. And some people called it the disco, but it was just a dark room with strobe lights and black lights, and we had a DJ, and you'd go in there and dance. So that whole experience, that one night a year, this whole thing was 2 to 3 hours. It was like the most looked forward to event of the school year, other than Christmas break and the last day of school. You looked forward to the Harvest Festival. You penciled it on your calendar when you started school in the fall, and you knew when it was going to be. That was the big event every year, and it was so much fun because everybody in school would be there, and all the parents would be there who brought the kids. So it turned out, because like I said, we lived in small towns, it turned out to be like this one big community event every year, and it was just a lot of fun.
Cool.
And that's probably one of the things I miss the most about elementary school is the yearly Harvest Festival. And so when my kids were in elementary school, they'd come home talking about, the Monster Mash is in 2 weeks. Can we go to the Monster Mash? I'm like, what's the Monster Mash? We're going to be playing games in the gym and you dress up and it's a dance. I'm like, wait, really? Really? Are you serious? Yes, you can go, and I'm taking you. So I go.
I'll be a chaperone.
Well, all it is a drop off because they weren't having bingo for adults or anything I was used to. I'm like, man, this is a ripoff.
Yeah, they did a back to school bash at the elementary school for our boys here, and that was fun. We just never had that little like pop up carnival experience up there in PA. All we did was everything was around a banquet, so it was just you sit down, you eat, and you give away your whatever sports trophies and prizes for the year.
I can understand you all in Pennsylvania not having that stuff because your time was taken up, especially that time of year, with planning your big corning night and forking fiascos and stuff you had to work on. You didn't have time for other stuff.
Did not have time. Yeah, we were stockpiling all of our stuff to go out and mess with people. We did some. Yes, we went to like a Christian school, but people just made the generalization that everybody's just, we never do anything wrong or nothing ever happens at the school. But what would happen was we would get all of the people that get kicked out of public school. Their parents would be like, oh, here's a quick way to get this kid back on the right track. We're going to put him in Christian school for a year. So those kids always like influenced us the most of what we could get away with, at school. And hey, look, there's Johnny back in the corner there practicing rolling his joints, and just off the wall stuff that you would think, all right, they're at a private school, nothing like this happens. But yeah, we had the pranksters there too. I wasn't too much of a prankster, but yeah, we had. Here's one I'll tell you. This is just kind of when somebody was in trouble. This is usually around what happened. This level of prank. So in 8th grade, our school expanded, and they built on another addition to the school, and they built a gym finally. And all of the high school moved over across the way to the church, and we had all of our classes in their Sunday school classes in there, right? So at lunchtime, we would still go back over to the cafeteria to get our lunch, eat lunch, and come back to the classes over there. And there was always 2 or 3 guys that always hung out together that would the chalkboard or the blackboard was in the very front of the classroom, and the door to get into the classroom was in the back. So they could sneak out all the time easily. And if the teacher wasn't paying attention very well, it would be a while before Russ, Josh, and Bob have left, and they're somewhere in the church, usually up in the baptistry or somewhere, hiding or hanging out, whatever. Well, back and forth on that year, we would we loved popping the milk cartons. I don't know if you did that in the lunchroom, and it sounded like a shotgun going off, when you popped a milk carton, and the teachers get all pissed, and you're giggling about it. Who popped that milk? Well, somebody popped a full one in the church, up against a wall, and it made this chocolate milk mural up against the wall one time. And we're coming back, this was they kept it, and they ran back over to the to the church to do their little prank before everybody else got over there. And it was the church was on lockdown. Who did this? And we went through this whole, I don't know, interrogation of who popped the chocolate milk carton up against the wall. So that was our level of pranksters.
I started a major food fight in the lunchroom in my freshman year in high school.
Oh, yeah?
Like one of the ones you'd see on a TV show or movie where people are standing up, throwing stuff at each other all over the place. And, of course, I got in some major trouble for that. And my dad's big complaint was not that I'd necessarily gotten in trouble, but wasting food by starting a food fight. He's like, I've told you, da-da-da. And he said, how'd it start? And I said, I threw some broccoli. He said, broccoli? Oh, well.
That's okay. That's okay. It's not real food, Yeah,
that's what our food eats.
Right.
So you went through all the way, graduated high school from private school.
Yep.
So, boy, your high school experience was certainly probably different than most people's then. But that's pretty cool, though. We didn't really have that option around here. If we would have, I likely would have went to that. I'm sure that's where my mother would have preferred me to go to school, but we just didn't have that option at the time to have, I mean, without driving, 30 miles one way twice a day.
It was different too, because we had this whole curriculum that was supposedly college prep, but we didn't have the luxury of having a huge staff of teachers. So when I got to, I think it was junior year, and they offered Spanish, it was all on VHS tape.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we would go in and pop in this week's cassette with Mrs. McLam, who was our Spanish teacher, and we had to basically learn from a VHS tape.
Well, I learned the best lessons in my life from watching old VHS tapes.
So, I mean, it was nice that you didn't have like a lecture every day from a specific teacher. You're essentially watching TV, but I don't remember a tenth of what I probably was taught me in that Spanish class nowadays.
Yeah. Well, the way this whole world is now, that's why we decided to homeschool the kids, and sounds like your parents were ahead of the curve in that respect.
Did you watch, I was going to say, did your school ever have like little, they show movies and TV shows? Like we watched the Voyage of the Mimi.
Oh, yes.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
PBS. And then we watched, what was that freaking weird show? Read All About It. That was a PBS show. I think it was produced in Canada. And it was these couple kids that were at this old newspaper building, and they found these like robotic, it was like a robotic typewriter and something, and it came from a different like planet. Oh, it was the weirdest show ever. I remember watching that, and the main villain in there just freaked me out. I can't remember his name, but that and the Voyage of the Mimi, we watched that in class, and we would get little movies here and there once in a while to watch. But I think I don't know, it seemed like we were lucky I was like, oh yeah, we're watching TV today. You know?
Well, we had that too. It seemed like the television rolled into the classroom a lot. They would, of course, everybody remembers those rolling TV stands that had the television strapped to it and stuff. But we would watch, anytime there was a space shuttle launch, back when I was in elementary school, they'd roll that in, and we'd watch it. We would watch Reading Rainbow every week. We'd watch an episode of Reading Rainbow. They'd roll that in. I remember in 7th grade, we watched The Voyage of the Mimi, and back then we only had 2 teachers as far as you change classes halfway through the day, and that was it. And so the second half of the day, you had math, geography, history. So I'm guessing this was a geography tie-in. But I really liked The Voyage of the Mimi. We had watched that every day until it was done. But better than that, have you seen Voyage of the Mimi 2?
No.
We watched it, and it was, you can find it on YouTube. It's worth checking out just for nostalgia purposes. It was better than the first one because it had a Mayan temple theme to it where they went into the jungles of Maya or Mexico or wherever those things are. See, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention.
Maya.
So we watched a lot of television, but beyond the television, it was hard to beat a day when you'd walk into class. I'm talking 3rd grade, 4th grade, 2nd grade. Come back from lunch, and you've been at lunch, and you come back, and all of a sudden the film projector is there, and you'd watch a film strip. Remember film strips?
Oh yes.
You always was raising your hand and shaking it for all it was worth to get to be the one to set at the film strip and turn it when it beeped and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, film strips are wonderful. And you knew coming up on different times of year, like Thanksgiving, it's like, oh, we're gonna watch that film strip about the Indians. Yeah. And, as far as the TVs, well, they're going to roll in the thing, and we're going to watch the PB special on wigwams and teepees and stuff, because that's what we teach kids around here at Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We did the film strips. I remember having like the overhead projectors for certain classes, and the teacher writing with the dry erase markers on those. And oh yeah, old technology.
A lot of it's still nice though. Like I'd like to have a film strip projector now. Not that I'd use it, but that was a heavy piece of steel. That thing was well made.
It was. It definitely was.
And I volunteered in the library in elementary school before school. So I've always been busy. It's nothing new. But I used to have to put the film strips back every day. And I would just marvel at how many film strips we had, and I'd be reading them and like, man, I wish we'd watch this in class sometime. Man, when can we watch this? And,
we had I think 3 or 4 teachers when we were in high school, and would rotate classes. And in elementary school, it was the same teacher every day. So yeah, we didn't have that luxury until we got to high school of switching teachers, switching rooms and stuff. And so yeah, everything that was in the every subject and art projects, and here's a story for you. This was probably like 4th grade. So we're painting something, and they're making us like mix paint in like the little styrofoam cups with straws. So we're mixing up the paint to I can't remember what exactly the project was, but somebody got the bright idea. Well, how much can I suck the paint in the straw up to the top without it getting the whole way? So we're all like, trying to get as much as we can up to the top of the straw without getting paint in her mouth. And I remember one girl, she had purple because her mouth, she just went, and she had purple teeth, and oh my gosh, it was so funny. I felt bad for her because, obviously this was one of our stupid ideas and influenced the other people to chime in, but she just run into the bathroom with the purple all over her mouth.
Well,
oh gosh.
I could tell stories about shop class, but those are not necessarily my stories to tell. Those would be, maybe we'll have to get Tiny on as a guest at some point to tell those stories, but I will tell one real quick one before we wrap this up. Mm-hmm. We had a banquet at, what Bonanza is, right?
Yes.
Little steakhouse. Okay.
Yep.
So we had a banquet at Bonanza for part of the shop class thing. And the stories Tiny could tell about aggravating the teacher there was just, they're legendary. But he was hosting this banquet at Bonanza, and myself and Tiny's brother and some other folks went over. They got the soft serve ice cream machines.
Right.
Well, you pull on the front, the handle, and it dispenses. Well, we thought, how funny would it be if we took the wing nuts off this front panel of this thing for the next person to come along?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So
who was the next person?
Well, it was just some other customer in there, but I didn't realize that soft serve is kind of pressurized. That's how it works when you pull the lever. It kind of forces it through. So we take the wing nuts out of this thing. It's a big plastic panel on the front of this metal machine. If you look at one, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Well, this next person comes up and pulls the handle down, and the whole face of that comes off. And it starts spraying soft serve across Bonanza. And they got carpet floors. There's people that work at Bonanza there with the trays trying to hold it up like a shield and catch all the soft serve they can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to try that next time. Yeah.
Maybe we can do that for Patreon exclusive. We'll get Tiny on for about 30 minutes one day and let him tell the rest of these legendary stories involving this teacher and the torture and absolute hell they put that man through.
So before we go, then I got a banquet story. I'll back up against that. So every year we had our sports banquet, and we had basketball, track, soccer a couple years, even flag football. We never had enough people. We didn't have enough people for a full football team, But one year, I can't remember, it was probably like maybe 1990, so like maybe my freshman year in high school, we had our sports banquet, and Mom and I went over to JCPenney, and she helped me pick out a little ensemble for the banquet. It was a nice kind of almost Hawaiian patterned shirt.
I like the way you said she picked out something nice.
Yeah, something nice. It was like a Hawaiian patterned shirt, white jeans, not like white pants, white jeans.
Oh yes.
And a real skinny white leather tie it had a zipper. So you zippered it open and came back around. So this is me with my white jeans, my little skinny white leather tie, and this like floral, almost Hawaiian pattern. It was like black and purple and pink. I mean, I was styling, man.
Man, it
so
sounds
I get
like
up. So I can't remember what the award was I had that year, but our gym teacher calls me up and he even says to me, "Oh man, we've got Don Johnson here tonight." And so I'm feeling great, man. I get my little award and I sit down, and the girl, I don't know if we were dating at the time or not, but I was sitting next to this girl, and banquets. What do you have at banquets all the time? You have punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually red in color.
Oh no.
So I cut back, had my little trophy there, and she knocked over a glass of punch on my white jeans.
Oh no.
Luckily, I only lived maybe a mile, if that, away from the school. And I remember, I guess Mom would have drove me back, or Dad, or whoever was with me at the banquet, because I remember going back, doing a quick change, and coming back to the banquet, because it was early on. It wasn't like towards the end or anything. So I made a quick change and came back. But yeah, that was that was an accident, not intended.
Do you happen to still have a picture of you in that getup?
I might.
Oh
somewhere.
man, because I know your mom's probably like my mom. You had events like this. You got dressed up for. You had to pose in the kitchen and stuff before you left.
Oh yeah. I had no sense of style or anything like that.
No, man, you were ahead of your time. That does sound awesome.
Mom, she was always on top of whatever it was I liked, whatever was hot in the JCPenney, that they would have on the mannequins. She's like, "Yeah, we'll take that, and I think you'd look good in that." And that's how that whole ensemble came out.
My mom was the opposite. It's like everybody's wearing Bugle Boys. I'm wearing Rustlers. Or Huskies back then, I guess.
Yeah. Well, for special events, yeah, she made sure I was styling, but I'm going to have to see if I can dig up a picture. So
yeah, that would be really nice on Patreon.
Shoot, man, I'll just put that up on Twitter and let people go to town on it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not ashamed. So, all right, man, this is fun. School memories, school stories. I'm sure we've got plenty more to talk about. Maybe we'll have to circle back to this at some point.
Yeah, because we never even got to all the cool school supplies and stuff we had back then.
No,
so
we did not.
A future topic.
All right. Mental note taken, as I say. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to wrap this thing up and tell you what's going on with the Retro Network this week. So stick around.
Hills is a place for kids.
For back to school.
Hills has one of the largest selections of kids' coordinates anywhere. So there's just no need to shop anywhere else. Exciting brand names: Lee, Tonka, Garin, Gaetano, Oshkosh, and more. All at everyday low prices. With back-to-school time fast approaching, why not slide on over to Hills? Low prices every day, and the kids' coordinates to prove it. Check us out.
All right, we're back to wrap up the podcast this week, and Mickey's got some articles coming your way.
Yeah, Eric, kind of our resident music guy, has put together something, his favorite one-hit wonders of the 80s. And I'm sure most people have their own favorite one-hit wonders of the 80s. So when that drops tomorrow, well, as you're hearing this, it will have already dropped. Go in there and check it out and leave a comment with what picks you agree with and what he's missing that's on your list. Coming up here on the 30th anniversary of Dr. Feelgood, Kevin is putting something together for that. So look for that this week. Kevin's also got something here that's really piquing my interest. I haven't got to check it out yet, but we talk a lot about it. It's called The Fall of Hills. And I'm guessing, I know it's about the Hills department store. I'm guessing it's his take on the fall of the legendary Hills department stores. So look for that this week. We'll probably be pimping that one quite a bit. So you won't miss it. Yeah.
I'm excited to see that one now. But
I'm almost afraid to read it, though. I'm afraid it'll bring up a lot of sad memories now that they're gone.
But it's, historical stuff, too. I want to know what happened at the end and why They got now was it Ames that bought them out, or did they build out Ames?
No, they were bought out by
Bought
Ames.
out. Okay. Be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, we've got some podcasts coming up too. As you're listening to this, hopefully on Thursday, we will have a new Situation Jukebox up featuring Mickey. Yeah.
Yes.
Finally going to get a chance to join us. As we're recording this, we're going to all get online tomorrow night and on Labor Day and record that episode. So looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
You got no idea how much I'm looking forward to that. That is, because I sat and I listened when you put these up, and I've got my own thoughts on the songs, what my pick would be, and I cross over with a lot of people, but there's a lot of things I come up with. I'm like, how did nobody even think of this for that situation? So I'm really excited. I just hope the situations work out in my favor.
Okay. We shall see. It's going to be fun. And then the Sequel Quest gang is back this Friday with a rewind episode on Encino Man.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I know I've probably watched it back in the day, but I don't remember a thing about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I just showed it to the kids here maybe a year ago. They really liked it.
Well, that's coming up this Friday. Just a quick note on Sequel Quest Guys 2. At the end of September, their last episode is going to be a review of Rambo Last Blood.
Oh.
So I'm actually looking forward to hearing their take on that. And I don't know, I'd like to get in on the show maybe a little bit. If we're motivated enough to get to the theater to watch it, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be interested to hear what they have to say about it.
Yeah. Since
we've been pimping it here. And then, like we mentioned before, I think we finally penciled in or wrote in our schedule for what we're going to call TRN Talk Streaming Scheme for the fall of 2019. And this is going to be your everything about streaming scheduled. We're going to have like shows coming up this year and all of your options as far as pay channels go and freebies in there. If you're kind of like us and have a limited amount of budget we want to pay for streaming content, but that's going to be really fun.
We've taken the work out of it for you. We have Jason and I have been going through these services and searching out all the great retro stuff you remember from back in the day and seeing if it's available streaming, where it's streaming at, how to find it. And I'm sure people remember the old TV Guide fall previews. This is an audio version of that, but featuring streaming stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun. We're going to release that one on September 17th, which would be our normal Tuesday release for this podcast, but we're going to miss that week. I'll be traveling up to RetroCon, so won't get a chance to record. So we're going to have that ready for you on that day. And then we're bouncing around some potential roundtable reviews over there on Slack. One that came up was the She-Ra cartoon. I had been wanting to check that out, but I know Stacy and Kevin especially have been watching that, so we might end up putting a roundtable together for that. And then I thought maybe, I know it's been out for a while, but maybe we could do a season 1 Cobra Kai roundtable and just discuss that before season 2 hits, since it's going to be, if it's 10 episodes and it's week to week, it's going to be November before we finish that series up. So in the meantime, it might be fun to just put a season 1 roundtable together. And I know you'd have some things to say about that if you had time to join us, Mick.
Well, that would be the problem right there, is when you would be recording those episodes. But yeah, I would definitely have some stuff to say. I've watched the first season already, but like you were mentioning at the start of the show, I'm going to go back and rewatch it again while it's on before it goes away. Maybe even, dare I say, tonight, I might just blow through it.
Well, I did 2 episodes last night. So I'm in that same. I want to get it in before.
Well, the runtime on them is what, like 23 minutes or something?
Yeah.
And
so it's
only
10
like 10 episodes. Yeah. It's about 4 hours with pee breaks and snack breaks. You're looking at maybe 5 hours of continuous viewing.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, it could be done in a night.
Right. But anyway, so that'll about do it for our what's coming up in podcasts and things. So I'm sure we'll have some other stuff along the way, too, that will pop up. And I've got one drafted that's kind of a bounce off of this show. I haven't figured out what I'm going to name it yet, but it's basically I went to the local antique mall and I ran across a bunch of stuff that we had talked about on the podcast. Some of my old video games, that old CD label maker, like the exact one I had. I found it. It was like laying on a random table in this antique mall. I just wanted to share some of that stuff, maybe throw some visuals at the audio, that we do on this show. So maybe I'll get that put together and up this week, figure out a name for it. So yeah, we'll have some other stuff kind of in the meantime. And then we got any shout outs?
Well, I got a comment, not necessarily a shout out, but a comment. Mm-hmm. Last week's episode, we were joking, of course, with Tony, and you mentioned that I get all the attention or something to that effect, and you're the one behind, putting everything together. And we had a laugh about it. And so I had this comment from a friend of the show. It sent me a message. It says, "So I know why Jason said you were more popular. You are the John Madden to his Pat Summerall. He's the play-by-play guy who does all the work, and you're the color commentary."
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is kind of how it when it's not planned that way, but that is kind of how it works out, it seems like. So, well, Bart Brett Favre, boom, Brett Favre. Some kind of John Madden impression there. I'm not good at it, but.
And Montana comes back to pass. Boom! Yes, you got a hit right there. Yeah.
Well, Pat, the team that wins this game is going to be the one that scores the most points.
Have you ever watched Frank Caliendo, the comedian?
Oh, yes. He does a great impression.
Gosh. When he first hit the scene, man, his impressions are just so spot on. And, oh, wow. They used to have him on the Fox show.
I don't know where I heard it. It was something he done audio-wise. He done Hollywood Squares. But
by himself?
Yes, doing impressions. It was Al Pacino, John Madden.
Oh my gosh!
It was Jay Leno. I think he does a good impression of. But he was all 9 squares, but it was a different voice for each one, and it was just hilarious all the way through. He would get into arguments with himself. It's like John Madden and Al Pacino arguing back and forth from square to square. I don't even know how to track that down. If I can find it, I'll try to post a link to it for everybody because it's just hilarious.
Yeah. All of his impressions are spot on. I remember when he'd go on Letterman, he'd do like George W. and then he'd throw in a little John Madden and talking to himself. All right. Well, make sure you connect with us on social media, TRN Social, and our personal accounts, RD80s and Mick is Yesterdayville. You know where we are, people. If you're listening to the show, you should know where we are. But just make sure you follow us over there. And every little follow helps us in our goal to, build the Retro Network to what we want it to be. So if you see something you like, share it, retweet it, all that stuff. And then, of course, you got any feedback like that? Would love to get that during the week on this show in particular. So,
and come on, enter the essay contest.
Yes.
Share your thoughts with us. Put something together. Send it to me. We'll put it online. We'll all enjoy it together.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Me too.
Community building right there, man. That's what that is. So, all right, man. Well, you have a good week, and we'll sign off for now and tell everybody else to have a good week, and we will see you next time.
Check you later.
Thanks for listening to the Retro Network Podcast channel. Make sure you listen to all of the great podcasts we have to offer right here in this feed. If you enjoy our channel, please give us a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast app. Connect with us on social media by following TRN Social and visit the retronetwork.com website for your daily retro fix. Come back next week for another episode of the Retro Network Podcast.